Hey, this is Editor Stumpy, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I got like 4 hours of sleep, and have been up since probably 6. Came home, cleaned, kind of getting prepped for like the whole kid coming, um, which I kind of talked about in the video, and kind of editing and going through. I kind of realized I got some dates mixed up. Um, Very tired. Um, I'll kind of jump with you back at the at certain points and kind of clarify some things. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know. Just keep in mind, I am like running off of 4 hours, and somehow thought that was a good idea to record. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. My name is Stumpy, and this is my show. Episode 2. Uh, yeah, let's kind of just get into it. I am a bit tired today. I had to work on a weekend, which is very rare. I'm a bit exhausted. I'm smelly. I'm stinky. I also did house chores, so I'm probably after this. I'm probably gonna end up playing. I don't know. I've been kind of bored of like just playing like regular like PC and shit. So I kind of gotten back into VR a little bit, which is kind of fun, honestly. Pretty neat. Must have been playing Pavlov, a little bit of Blades and Sorcery, VR poker. I low key have a gambling addiction, I'm pretty sure, but hey, I'm not spending real money, so we're okay for now. Um, yeah, I'm a little just kind of foggy from the whole, kind of bit of a busy day. But this should still be entertaining. Yeah, yeah. I also made me a nice little cup of coffee. Oh fuck, that's hot. Ooh. Oh, that burned my fucking mouth. Okay. Anywho, um, I don't know. Current events. Pregnant wife is gonna have a C-section Monday. Uh, so that'll be fun. I'll get to take care of her and the kid. I told her I'll change the kids' diapers, but not hers. To kind of think her and the baby are gonna have diapers as the first matching outfit. I think that'll be cute in a weird kind of way. Um, okay then. Sorry, just like the fan or something like fell, so I'm a bit kind of like, what the fuck was that? Anywho, yeah, so I ended up getting a new shower head. In other news, kind of one of those like handle ones, which I was using for a long time, and then we moved here and they didn't have it, and we finally got one, and I forgot like how much cleaner I feel, and like how awesome it is, because like I'm a little bit of a hairy guy myself, and so like I don't know if other dudes got the same problem, but like soap, if you don't like really scrub, like it'll kind of cling to your like hair and stuff, and you'll get like a weird film. But like having that shower head, throw it on the jet, and just kind of like really get in there, even like a light misting, it's great too. Uh, which may be getting a little bit personal, but like I don't know about most people, but I actually pride myself in like my personal hygiene, and one of those is kind of washing my ass. Like most people, I would imagine, I would hope, right? If you're kind of looking at me like that's kind of weird, that's a little bit gay. Well, it's Pride Month, first of all, motherfucker, and two, that's just proper hygiene and health and maintenance. Okay, like if you aren't washing your ass, I'm pretty sure you smell like shit. No, I guarantee you smell like shit. Even if you're wiping pretty well, like, come on now, like, it's an asshole. So yeah, like with the shower head though, it's been kind of great because I've been able to like power wash my asshole. You know what I mean? Like before, I'm like like hugging the wall, like I'm in jail, and like spreading them, just to kind of like let the water hit it. Uh, which yeah, is pretty nice. I kind of forgot how like standard shower heads, how like it. Well, I don't know. It kind of kind of makes me feel a bit regal, you know? Like, I don't know, it's a weird flex, I guess. Even though they're like 25 bucks at Walmart. But like, it's one of those, it's like, man, like, this is pretty nice. I don't think I can ever shower the same way again. Um, which yeah, is pretty nice. Yeah. Which I actually kind of think, well, sorry, I'm still a little bit scatterbrained from just the hecticness. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm feeling it. Let me just get a little quick. Oh, that burned my throat. Oh God. But happy Pride Month to all you alphabet people. I'm very live and let live. I kind of don't care. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, my whole stance is kind of on that, I guess, is, I don't know, man, what two consenting adults do behind closed doors, you know, kind of between the consenting adults. Um, you know what I mean? As long as those two things are true, I guess it doesn't matter. Uh, then again, that's like most of Florida, honestly. Like, there's very few people you meet that are like very like, uh, you know, very decisive on that. Like even some of the religious people I know, like very religious, like they're live and let live. They don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. People complain about Florida a lot, like I'm not just talking about like the Florida man or like the random stuff, but like people who come here and like move here, like, oh man, you guys don't care, you guys are blah 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 blah, and it's like, well, who cares that? Well, this is kind of like a weird thing in my area. Somebody had like a old jet ski that they turned into a planter and kind of sat on like the corner of a road, and somebody complained about it, and like the county was telling them they need to move it, and there were a bunch of petitions trying to get it as like a local landmark because it had been there for like I want to say like maybe 15 years, almost 2 decades, and like you know I mean I'm 25, and so like you know I mean like as long as I've lived here it's always been there and like nobody has cared. It's just been like a oh hey yeah turn you know like an actual like landmarker for like yeah instead of turning on so and so drive just you'll see the jet ski and then the next street or you know turn there. Like literally nobody cared and it wasn't like it was trash. Like they actually turned it into something. It was actually pretty nice. I think I forget. I'll drive by there probably next week or something, and then I'll like let you guys know if it's still there. But yeah, a whole petition thing. I actually signed for it to stay as a landmark. Yeah, shit. I probably should do a little bit of homework before talking about it. But yeah, no, it was pretty neat too. I think it was like a '90s looking one, like with like the blue and the white, or yeah, white top or blue top, like the white like bottom part, and then like that weird like pink swoosh they got. You know what I mean? Like on like the '90s cups and stuff, like very nostalgic Taco Bell. Um, yeah, yeah, I'll definitely do my homework on that and get back to you know like the two people who actually care. Uh, shit, I guess because everybody's talking about it. I guess speaking of not doing their homework, Terrence Howard. Like I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon here, but like I watched that podcast with him and Joe Rogan, and like I didn't understand half of the shit he said, which didn't make sense to me. And like even like watching like a bunch of sciencey people on YouTube and other people try to explain it, it's like okay, some things he said were true, but like other things like the one thing I'm really kind of focused on that like I know for certain is just complete BS is the one times one equals two, and that like that just bothers me. It's like that's not how that works, and I can. I can actually prove it to mathematically. I actually got a clipboard. I dug this bad boy out just for this. So, whenever we refer to multiplication, right, it's usually this amount of items in like this group. So, let's say we have group A and B, right? And I'll go like old school, old school mathy on this one. You know, like second grade. We'll use fruit. So let's say I have group A with 2 oranges, and I have group B with 2 oranges. Now, if I was going to, uh, actually, I'll even simplify it too. I'll kind of do the, we'll start with the 1 times 1 because that'll be pretty quick to disprove that. So we have group A and group B. They each have an orange. Now, if we're trying to see how many in total oranges there are, you know, groups with 1 of each, right, that would be addition, and we would have 2 oranges. Now, right, you following me? This is pretty much 1 plus 1. Now, if we're going to do 1 times 1, which means we would have 1 group with 1 orange, that's 1. Right, we're following? So now if we had, and this is kind of a little bit of a weird, confusing one I kind of found out, but right, we have 2 groups with 2 oranges. Now if we wanted to add it up to see how many oranges there are, right, you know, plussing, that's pretty much 2 plus 2, and we'll get 4. But if we were going to combine the groups, right, we have 2 groups and 2 oranges, that would also become 4. Which is kind of weird. That, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's no other number that, you know, 2 plus 2 and 2 times 2, you know what I mean? They'll equal the same number. You know what I mean? Like 1, if you add 1 and 1, that's 2. But if you times 1 and 1, it's 1. You know what I mean? Like 3 and 3, that's 9. If you're timesing it, if you're adding it, that's 6. Kind of a bit weird. And kind of now that I'm talking about trying to write it out, I'm even confusing myself. Which in a weird way is what I think Terrence Howard wants. Like, I'm pretty sure he mostly went on the record and all that just to kind of get his name out there and kind of stay in popularity and kind of in the focus of the media. Because, to be honest, nobody's heard anything about him since Iron Man. He's kind of been under the radar. Which, to be honest, if I was in his position, I'm trying to, like, you know what I mean? Like, any publicity is good publicity. You know, I might do the same thing. I might go on to, like, well, literally the world's largest podcast. I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan is, like, #1. And, you know, say a bunch of false shit just to get people to watch it and talk about me and get me in the spotlight so that way people are remembering me. Which I don't even think he believes it, and that's literally it. He's just kind of trolling. He's trolling and he's baiting. That's kind of it. Which I kind of read, like, an article how, I guess apparently he went up against, like, the Ugandan government, and was talking about, like, making hydro-powered drones or something, and, like, how he's talking, it sounds like he's making sense, but you kind of extrapolate and perpetuate and manipulate the data and the words you're saying to make yourself sound a little bit bigger, and it's like, really, what are you saying, bud? Like, that, what is, yeah, no, I, just even thinking about it's kind of, like, making me a little bit confused, so, yeah, I kind of don't know on that one. I guess that's enough of me talking about it, because I'm pretty sure, if your YouTube feed is like mine, you probably got, like, nothing but recommended videos, you know, kind of, like, talking about it, because it's just fucking popular. Yeah, other than that, as far as, like, guests I'm thinking about getting, I know I had mentioned I might get one of my brothers in on this, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do that with the whole like Trump felony indictment shit. Uh, One of my brothers is a felon, and I was gonna do like a little bit of a Q&A with him on like like prison, like for anybody who may be curious about what it's like, or going into it kind of like a yeah, like a Q&A, like, hey man, if you're going in, like what to expect, what's life like, food, and maybe even a couple cooking recipes to spice up that commissary, or the easiest way to put money on somebody's books, you know what I mean, like weird simple things like that. So like if anybody has any questions or anything like you'd want me to ask him, uh, that one should be coming up between my work schedule, his work schedule. But that's one thing I'm trying to piece together and kind of get with him on. So once again, a little bit of a plug here. The Patreon, if you know, kind of become a patron, and I'll probably start a poll on that if anybody actually gets on there. I mean, those questions will probably. Well, no, really, anything. If you just want to put it in the YouTube comments, that's fine too. I'm not gonna try and make people shell out money to fucking ask a question. That's ridiculous. Now that I say it, yeah, that's kind of greedy. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking on that. I'm pretty tired, but yeah, no, like anything you guys want to ask or something like that, to like a felon, like you know what I mean, like just put in the comments and I'll get that together. That one may be a little bit shorter because of like time. Even with that, I might like make it like a smaller, shorter vid. And he even like we were like bouncing ideas off, and he's like, "Oh, we could do like a cooking with cons kind of thing, like a literal like prison cooking show, like like some of the recipes he's had and like has done, and I have seen. Some of them are kind of horrendous, like." For example, like I've seen him take a fucking honey bun, put like frosting on it, like icing, M and M's, and like a bunch of other stuff that's just like diabetes. Like watching that just makes my insulin like crash. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm getting diabetes watching it. Like my blood sugar's just high, staring at it, smelling at it. Uh, I'd have to say one thing I've probably done since he's kind of showed me is like I'll make ramen and I'll take like Cheetos. It's flaming hot or regular. I'll crush those bad boys up and put them in the ramen. You know what I mean? And like you usually drain the juice and just kind of like mix it up. And that kind of adds like a, adds a little bit of texture and flavor. And it sounds a little bit disgusting, and you can do it with Doritos or Fritos, whatever floats your goat, but like it's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? Like the right chip for the right person in ramen. You know what I mean? But like I'll stand by that one. That one I definitely recommend. That one is pretty damn good recipe. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I could probably get him to make like some prison hooch. You know what I mean? Like not out of a toilet, but like in a bag or something. I'm not really sure. I gotta ask him. Shit, that would be kind of fun actually. Shit, I'm gonna call him after this and kind of write down some recipes. Yeah. Actually, thinking about it, another brother of mine, whenever he got out after a long stint, and I'll never forget this, he ended up coming home and getting all the crap and trying to surprise us with cooking, and he made goulash in a bag, which was just disgusting. It looked disgusting, smelled disgusting, and like it was. I don't even know what it was. Like that was the first time I ever had a goulash, and I couldn't stomach it, and it took me like till maybe 2 years ago, whenever my wife made a real goulash, to actually eat it. Cause like every time it's like, nope, I hate it. You know what I mean? And like she's like, why? It's like I've had it before. It's terrible. It's terrible. And then I finally sat down and told her. She's like, right. She's like, well, let me look up some goulash for you. And she like Googled it. She's like, this is what real goulash looks like. And I'm like, oh, that actually looks appealing. And then she made it for me, and she wouldn't tell me what it was, which I was a bit sus about. And then I'm eating. I'm like, this is good. She's like, yeah, that's goulash. That's real goulash you're eating. Like you like it. Shut up. And I'm like, fair, fair. Yeah, that was an experience. Just gonna take another sip of coffee, get some of that ASMR going, some of that. I'll give you guys another one. Oh, I hope the mic picked that up. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a bit tired. Pretty good, happy, optimistic. Um, so far doing pretty well. Pretty well. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a long day. Uh, I don't know. Really, I just kind of hope everybody's doing pretty well. Kind of been thinking a lot too. Kind of like the future. Kind of like this whole podcast thing is a bit more of a kind of hobby thing for me. Like I don't really expect it to go anywhere, and if it does, cool, fine. That's all right. If people actually like this and want to support it, I got the Patreon there just cause. Doesn't matter, but I mean, like even if like maybe like 20 people tune in and kind of like consistently watch, that's fine by me. You know what I mean? Like this is this is just a hobby. This is something I'm doing for fun. I kind of enjoy talking and just kind of rambling on. And I kind of hope that people watching do too. Which, if you're watching and you kind of don't like this so far, and we're 2 episodes in, you know what I mean? Or like I don't know, this could be like 5-10 years in the future, and you're kind of watching this like, man, I really hate this guy. Let me watch his shit. Even my older stuff. I gotta ask, man, like, what the hell? Are you okay? Do you need help? Which this would be actually that would have segued really well into like a BetterHelp sponsorship. Oh God, yeah, that would have been great. Just be like, yeah, do you need help? Because BetterHelp is there. But no, I don't have any sponsors. Why would I? I'm like 2 episodes in and have like I think 11 subscribers. I know, gotta flex on that. My big 1-1. By the way, that's mostly fat on my arms. It's not even muscle. Which, now that I actually think about it, I don't know if many viewers have tattoos, but I'll kind of like share a little story about this one on my arm. I was born in October. It is, Libra zodiac. Right. Trying to get a good view. Yeah, that's good. Um, yeah, it didn't always look like this. Like, there's a little bit of red in it, and kind of, I told the artist to kind of, put her flair on it, make it look good. Really put it in her hands, and she really turned it around. It was, honestly, it was pretty messed up. Like, it was like the same thing, just like solid black, but, uh, like, you can see where the scar tissue is, and the one person who did it, they ended up going over the same spot so many times that the skin started to flake off. And that was my first tattoo. So, like, I didn't know what to expect, what was off, what was what. And then, like, it healed. I went and got a touch-up. Still did not make a difference. It was still crappy. And, like, I waited, like, probably 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, by then, it's like everything is healed and proper. And it still looked terrible. To the point where, like, one of my brothers even like looked at it. He's like, dude, that looks like a jailhouse tat. Like, he was like, no joke, it's like, that looks like some stupid shit your cellie would do bored. Like, it looks like the lady went in there with like a fucking needle and like, you know what I mean? Like, he's going on just roasting that shit. And I'm like, dude, it's like, fuck. Another brother told me it looked like, you remember, some of you may remember this, but like there's a Jackass episode or skit in one of the movies where like they're on the back of like a dune buggy and they're hitting like bumpy roads and somebody's getting like a smiley face tattoo. I think it's Steve-O's getting the tattoo, and like it looks all fucked up. That's how that this was. Lines were not straight. It was not even. It was just awful. And like people are like tattoos are supposed to build confidence and make you, you know what I mean? No, that did the exact opposite. I was afraid to take my shirt off. Like or wear like short sleeves because it just looks so awful. And like every time like people would just comment on it and like either they'd be like, "Is that a God of War thing?" Or they would look close to like, "Dude, that's a shitty tat. Did you get that done in a garage or jail?" And it's like, "Fuck you." But no, I'm definitely glad. Uh, Moral of the story is $20 tattoos are not worth it. Literally, it was like $20, and it was like maybe like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But yeah, no, it was terrible. It was awful. Like crappy job. Crappy job. Which actually, now that I think about it, one of my exes at the same time I was getting that done, uh, got a tattoo done at the same shop by another person, and like they're getting like a weird memorial piece on their arm, and like it was weird, like they were getting like praying hands and a quote, and I mean, like you're getting letters, you kind of want them to go that way, you know what I mean? Kind of like my arm, you know what I mean? You have it going that way or that way. Um, Instead, they want to try to have it going like this with the praying hands, and it was gonna look awful. Like you know what I mean? Like they have arms smaller than me, and so it was like it was gonna wrap around the whole thing, which is not what they wanted, because then you gotta like, and so like after like arguing with the person, they finally said, okay, fine, I'll do it that way, and like I know hands are a little bit hard to draw, but like they were kind of misshapen. Like it was, I don't know, man. Like they looked wonky as hell. I never said anything, and I really don't regret it because it's like, man, that's kind of like a memorial thing, and like to kind of be like, yeah, no, that looks fucked up. Yeah, yeah, no, I kind of bit my tongue on that one. It's like, yeah, no, I'll let you have that one. But yeah, never went there again. Yep. Yeah, no, other than that, I got like 5 tattoos. I'm kind of comfortable with that. I may get like one or two more, but nothing too serious. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get like uh, I don't know, some crazy face tattoo that like means nothing, or like you know what I mean, like random shit like juicy like as a tramp stamp, or you know what I mean. Like some people get like I don't know. I'm a bit weird. I feel like tattoos should be more of a symbolistic thing. They should mean something, not just vanity. Which everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and if you just want to get tattoos because they're cool, good on you. I'm just kind of spitballing. Like honestly, this whole podcast is just me just rambling on. Yeah, that's kind of it. Like I honestly have no qualms with tattoos. Uh, Actually, my mom was very happy whenever I got this one fixed. Like, like she hates tattoos. Like, period. But like, whenever I got that one fixed, she like looked at me. She's like, I don't like tattoos, but I'm so glad you got that fixed. It looks so much better. And like, she was like, just like went on. Like, I thought she was about to cry because like she's like, it looks so much better. It looked like shit. Like just going on about it. It's like fuck, man. That probably kept you up for nights or something. Like freaking you out. Which I actually remember I tried to hide it. I was like 18, 19, and I'm trying to hide a tattoo from my parents. Well, really my mom. And so like I mean, like I would purposely like wear like long sleeves, and like they didn't even give me like that weird sticky stuff. They just gave me like saran wrap, and like this was like 2018, 2019, and it's like they've definitely had like that sticky tape crap, And so it's like, looking back on it now, it's like, man, that's a shitty shop. Like, God, man. But yeah, I tried to hide it from them. And like, I would always wake up before everybody for work, and I'd take a shower. So like, I'd rinse it off, clean it, do all that, and then like, uh, you know, kind of like saran wrap it, go to work when I was working at a 7-Eleven. And I think one time I ended up taking a shower and I walked out like without a shirt on, and then they kind of saw it. And they're just like looking at me like, when did you get that done? And it was already healed too. Like I had it for like probably about 3 months or so, like give or take like a week. And like what the fuck, man? Like, when did you get that done? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe a couple months ago, and like I'm trying to like play it all cool. Like, I don't know. I was like nervous and like on the gun. I'm like, I don't know. I've had it for a while. What tattoo? Oh yeah, like like very cringy looking back on it. Like it was just like the stupidest shit. It's like trying to hide you being drunk to your parents, and it's like, bro, it's like you reek, you're slurring, like, yeah. No ASMR that time. Some of you are happy and some of you are sad, but yeah, no, I'm not an ASMR podcast. I'm not doing that. I had to go check up on something. Somebody was knocking at the door, but um, I have not had JoJo Siwa on my feed. I don't know if it was just me like making that podcast and like somehow it was like a cry for help to the universe and it stopped. But like so far, I haven't had her in my feed. Thank God. Just gonna knock on some wood there. Who knows? She might try and continue the bad girl era crap and be in our feeds again next week. Then again, like if we had to play a contest of cringe, like Terrence Howard's Science or JoJo Siwa's Bad Girl era, like, you know what I mean? Like, are we gonna have like a cringe contest at the end of the year? Like, who is the most cringe over the year? Shit, I'll start betting on that. Hell, actually, that's not a bad idea. I think I'll get like a leaderboard and like I'll start looking back, like probably like and like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, for this year, like who has been like at least in like the top 10 cringe, and like kind of keep like a leaderboard, and then like I don't know, do a cringe review or not. We'll see. Anywho, I've kind of always been into like history and crap. Which whenever I say that, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, tell me some history," and it's like fuck, man. Like there's a lot of shit. Like I don't know everything, but I know a couple things, and it's like, what do you kind of want to know about? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, give me a topic. You know what I mean? It's like somebody saying, I do stand up, and it's like, oh yeah, be funny. It's like, that's not how it works. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of warming up. You know what I mean? It kind of, you got to read the crowd and stuff. So, like, which is something I've kind of noticed with, like, at least people, like, in my age bracket, kind of, like, our small talk is more of, like, saying, like, little like factoids, like little like facts here and there in a conversation. Like if you're talking about like whether to like I don't know, for example, like if you're talking about like Chevy and somebody's like GMC's better, and then you got a car guy who's like, well, hold on now, GMC and Chevy are actually owned by the same company. It's just a different side, and it's a little bit of the same thing, kind of like Lexus and Toyota, I think, or Hyundai. Yeah, I think it's Toyota. Toyota and Lexus. Any car people, fact check me on that. But yeah, that's yeah, I kind of noticed that. That's like a weird observation. Like I remember when I was getting my GED, there's this one girl who was like gonna go to college for like psychology, and she ended up telling me about this one book where like it was the point of view of a dog, and it's kind of weird because like ever since she told me about that concept, like I've kind of noticed it, and I'm not sure if it's one of those. It's like I'm just seeing what isn't there, but like I guess from this point of view of the dog, it was like an analyst of like looking at humans without being human, and like one of the weird things like it talked about in the book was like I guess humans like uh, in a weird way insert themselves into things. So like if I'm talking about like uh, I don't know, let's say if I said, oh man, I had a flat the other day, or you something like that, or I had to get gas and it was a pain in the ass because the pump was slower, they were out of gas. Somebody will kind of like come in and be like, yeah, yeah, that happened to me. You know what I mean? Like they'll kind of like somebody said, right? She was arguing, or it was either her or somebody else that was in like little conversation was like, yeah, it's kind of a narcissistic thing. We're all kind of narcissist, and I think of it, to me, kind of like a little bit more of like a empathic thing. Like we try and like relate to people, not really try and steal the conversation, make it about ourselves. It's like okay, you had like uh, a not so pleasant experience, traumatic, happy, whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like let me try and relate. Let me try and like build a deeper connection. You know what I mean? Like majority of people, you do have narcissists who will try and hijack a conversation. Um, but yeah, I guess let me know your thoughts on that one. I could be wrong. There could be a psychologist and probably argue with me, and I think that would be a fun conversation to have. As long as you're not a Freudian. You know what I'm talking about. That's some weird shit. Which is another topic for another time. Um, which I've kind of thought about maybe branching out in like my free time, maybe doing like, well, kind of like weird fact-based things. But there's like so many that do that it's kind of, at that point I'll end up be talking about topics other people have talked about. But I can't, if I did that, it's like, that kind of mindset is like The Simpsons did it. And so I kind of can't let that deter me from doing what I like. And to be honest, like, I've kind of always found myself as like a kind of entertaining kind of person. Like I just like having fun and just talking with people, and you know what I mean, just kind of like I don't know, sharing, having fun, bullshitting. I kind of like people who are watching this or just listening to it. You know what I mean? Like just I don't know, get you think or. But yeah, I'm kind of talking in a circle. I kind of end up doing that a lot, I've noticed. Like, and I kind of get that from my mom. Like, we'll talk about something, we'll keep on talking, we'll talk about something, and she'll bring it back around. And that's kind of like a weird thing I've tried to break myself out of. To the point where, like, my wife and my friends will kind of, like, tell me and, like, give me a look of, like, whenever I'm talking in a circle, it's like, and I'll even say, it's like, oh, talking in a circle. Okay, let me kind of, like, change the subject, or bring it back to what we were talking about. Which kind of, bring it back to something we touched on, the history thing. Like, before the whole comic and the thing got into a little tangent. But yeah, I kind of see myself as like a little bit of a, well, I feel like a historian is too much of a generous kind of thing. I'm a casual enjoyer of history. From really any side, because history is written by victors, and there are a lot of people who will be like, oh well, you weren't there, so how do you really know, just based off that one thing. It's like, well, you can't just go off of, okay, this guy wrote a textbook, you know what I mean. It's like you also kind of have to like look deeper into it, and there's so many people that had journals back then and a bunch of other eyewitness accounts and stuff like that, where it's like, cool, it's like you kind of look at that too. It's like, okay, so we had, let's say, some random guy in the 1800s who was a settler, what he saw, what he heard, you know what I mean? Like, you got, like, some conflicting reports from, like, the news and crap from, like, back then newspapers where it's like, hey, so this is me jumping in at this point to kind of clarify a couple things. Yeah, this is kind of the part I was talking about where, like, as we kind of went on, I got like a little bit tired. The coffee really wasn't hitting, but yeah, I try to keep things consistent and kind of with like how a lot of podcasts kind of format is. They usually don't try and stick to one topic and kind of have a bunch of little mini topics, and that's what I was trying to do. And I feel like I kind of butchered a lot of it, which you know next podcast I'll kind of like spend a little bit more time talking about. But as it sits, I'm pretty tired. I don't know if you can see the bags, but I'm cooked. Yeah. Anywho, kind of weed through a little bit of the sleepiness, I guess. I'm not really sure what you call it. I'm fatigued. I'm tired. But yeah. So side note, I am not trying to make light of World War I, II, and the Vietnam War. It's just kind of how time kind of is. I try to keep it under an hour and talking about certain things. I end up trying to bridge it, and I kind of feel like I did a little bit of a crappy job at that. Which I'm kind of sorry. Not kind of. I am. Yeah, give me a break. You know what I mean? Like Manifest Destiny. Okay, Savage Natives. Then you got like the people who were taken in by tribes and helped out. Like, you know what I mean? Like bunch of different things where it's like, well, that's kind of conflicting. And you know what I mean? You did have some hostile tribes, but also at the same time, you're kind of moving in on their homeland. You know what I mean? So it's in history there's a lot of gray, but like that whole Manifest Destiny shit definitely fucked up. That was pretty bad. Pretty bad. There's no arguing that. Yeah, I kind of swallowed out on that one. I don't know really what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, I'd kind of say a little bit of where my forte and a little bit of history comes in is more on the, oh shit, more like World War I. I'd have to say World War I, because, well, it had a lot of names. It was called the Great War, not because it was great, but because it was just so damn big. Pretty much you had a bunch of other people backing other countries, and you had a bunch of alliances that, once one person goes to war, everybody went to war. Um, it was also pretty brutal. That was kind of like, in a weird way, like the First War really utilized a lot of things available to uh, really not quite expedite, but make it more efficiently to kill each other. Um, yeah, like, we had trench warfare, and then to kind of like, help with that, and like just full mass like battles and like no man's land, you know, utilized diesel engines, and then said, let's put a bunch of like steel plates on it, and we had tanks, and those range from like, different things on different sides. And then at some point, it's like, man, we got to get rid of these things. How are we going to do it? Okay, let's make a rocket launcher. The Panzer Shredder. Uh, and then some mad lad was like, hey, man, let's take these biplanes, right? These paper mache planes, right? A crop duster. What if we just had it where it dropped bombs? And then some mad lad was like, fuck, what if we put a gun on the top too, so we could shoot other planes down, or when we're doing pass-bys? And like, I mean, you had like a bunch of different kind of like methods of that. And which one thing I kind of find funny, it was like, I think after that, or World War II, the G like what was a war crime was kind of like invented, sort of, because like you had the Germans using like mustard gas, I believe, or chlorine gas, or whatever you want to call it. And then I was like, well, that's kind of messed up. Can we not do that? And like, it's like, oh, boo-hoo, all's fair in war. And then like shotguns got introduced, and then they were crying about it, and it was like, I mean, the allies were like, well, It's like, I don't know, man. All's fair. Which is a little bit of a bridge, and it's not like quite accurate. And if anybody wants me to get like real nitty and gritty into it, I can. But like that's like a simple abridged of like what happened. And really, like if the Treaty of Versailles would have went differently, we probably wouldn't have had World War II, which is a whole different tangent and a whole different parallel like universe and timeline. Sorry, I had Chipotle and now I'm getting like a little bit of acid reflux. I'm kind of getting old. Like I scarfed down that burrito and like it's agreeing with me, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna have blood stains in my underwear. You know what I mean? Like I passed through it pretty good, but like, yeah, yeah. It's just a little bit here and there sometimes. It's not bad where I need Tums or like antacids. Um, yeah, yeah. Just World War One in general is kind of like a weird thing. Like in a weird way, it was the war to end all wars, and it did not do that. And like, kind of think about it, it's a bit morbid, but like, I believe it was the lost generation from like, which was like a weird generation between World War One and Two, where like a lot of people died, and like you have that, and it's like a lot of people kind of died for nothing, which kind of sucks. And to kind of talk about it, it kind of, kind of sound like a dick saying it out loud, but they kind of did, because like a lot of people died. It's like, cool, this is the war to end all wars, and a lot of people didn't want to fight. It was kind of like, well, kind of got drafted, a whole bunch of crap, and yeah, and then for like, what, the war ended in like 1919, 1920-ish, so like 10, 15 years later, roughly, depending on, I mean, if you go by Americans, it was like 15, because, December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. Yeah, so we jumped in at like 1941, or, well, really 1942, and so it was like, eh, like a good amount of time, like, before we jumped in, and like, in a weird way, like, the Allies still, loosely saying, like, allies, but like, France, Britain, and other countries that were kind of in like that weird like alliance kind of thing, you know, with the funny mustache man. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get monetized, but I'm just gonna say that just in case, what I mean, the no Germans. Um, you know, we're kind of taking power, and it's like, well, we want this, we want that, and like it was like we want this or war, and so you had appeasement, which was like we really don't want war, so let's kind of like give in to it, and that kind of was a little bit for nothing, because it all just kind of happened anyways, which I don't know, man. That's kind of you can take some morals from that. I guess sometimes conflict you kind of have to deal with it. You can't just push it off or hope it doesn't happen. But there's a lot of different things to that one too, like the whole situation, like a lot of different things. Hell, even people have done like alternate timelines where like it, I think it's Alternate History Hub, like did something on that, but even that is like even speculation at that point. Um, which then again also raises the question of even if Funny Mustache Man didn't take power, would have been another person. You know what I mean? Like it, which I don't know. Sometimes I think some things are just meant to happen, no matter what you do. Like it will happen. Like there are fixed points in time that like no matter what, like if it's not this person or this country, it'll be that person in that country. Which is kind of weird to think about, because like, I mean, like kind of think about the time and what it was. If you didn't, it was like a very shitty time, and definitely someone somewhere would have took power at some point in some place and did something. Um, like if it wasn't the no Germans, it would have been probably the Soviets. Like if Trotsky would have took power, You know what I mean? Like he was kind of like a little bit more on the whole, let's spread this shit worldwide. Versus Stalin was a bit more like, I'm comfortable in like this little domain on this little side. Let's you know what I mean? Power. Let's purge. You know what I mean? Uh, which is a whole. Really, I can make a lot of videos about random crap and topics and do a little bit more research and have it fresh in my mind because like I haven't thought about this in probably years. Um, which in a weird way, if some of you haven't guessed, I kind of like for a while wanted to be a history teacher, which is kind of weird, but like I kind of liked history and talking about it, and so to kind of like discuss it with a class, and then I kind of learned, okay, teachers don't make that much money, and also I'd be going to college, and I really didn't want to go to college because I couldn't afford it, and also other things, and it also I guess the curriculum is kind of whack. Like hearing some of the teachers talk about it, and it's like, okay, we're not allowed to teach this, we're not allowed to teach that, and like other things. It's like, all right, it's like I couldn't do that. Like that's too much like overhead. You know what I mean? Like too much overhead and like overreach and like it's like cool if I bring this up in class because it's relevant to the topic, I may get fired or something. Um, well, shit, I might just end up doing that in addition to the podcast, just making like little like history clips and videos and crap, just because why not? But even with that, I'll definitely have to do my homework and kind of not really make it opinionated. Um, which I actually kind of grew up with like a lot of older people around me, so like I got to hear like a lot of stories of like their point of view. Like I remember I was like probably 8, and like I met like 2 World War II veterans, and like to hear them talk about that, like one was in like the Pacific Front, like in Iwo Jima and stuff like that. Very brutal, and then like you kind of hear the other one talk about like in like the European front, like Normandy, and kind of like that side. Like in a weird way, it's the same war, but you have like two different perspectives. Like it's kind of weird to talk about, which it kind of shouldn't, but like the one that was on the Pacific front, it was a bit more about like almost a little bit of revenge of Pearl Harbor, but then kind of like the treatment of other people and some of like the crap that was going on. It was like what I mean, it was a little bit more like like let's really get them versus the European one. It was a bit more of like and I'm just kind of like abridging it, but like kind of like a weird consensus I got at 8, and I should probably revisit that topic. Sadly, they're not alive, but like kind of like look up and see other people's testimonies. But it was a bit more of like a like you're there, you're not really kind of sure, but you're liberating these people and they're feeling happy, and then you come across like the camps, and you're like, oh, that's why we're here. Yeah, no, we're doing good. And so it was, what I mean, like you had one that was like one front that's a little bit more vengeful, and one that was a little bit more of like a literal like kind of liberation kind of thing. Um, I really haven't talked to any other people on the other side of that war. You know what I mean? On like the no German side. So I can't really speak on like their behalf or like what I've heard. Really, I can't speak on anybody's behalf, but kind of like consensus of what I got from like talking to people who are actually there. You know what I mean? Like in that time frame, kind of like put a lot into perspective. Definitely grew up around a lot of Vietnam vets, which I tell you what, man, I got a lot of respect for like Vietnam vets because like that was a lot was wrong with that. It was kind of like helping out the French with like their colony, um, and like I mean, like a lot of moving parts on that one, but it was definitely brutal. Like you had some people that like kind of like abridging it, but like some kind of like a little bit of the mindset I got is it was like the people got out of World War II. Like some of the service members who went home, They had parades. They were kind of celebrated, and it's like, hey, you did a good job. You did a good thing. Good on you. And then like the people who came back from Nam, it was a little bit more of like, I mean, people hated you. Like people would change like before they walked out the airport, so like the protesters didn't get them. A couple people were spit on, uh, called names, and you did have some people who did do that, some people who didn't. But also at the same time, it is like a couple of the old vets I talked to, they tried to beat the draft by joining, um, and then their number didn't get called. And then there were some who were drafted like right out of high school, and so really that's like a whole different topic for another time. Yeah, like I'll kind of get like way too into that rabbit hole, and we're sitting at like I want to say like maybe 50 minutes. So like if you guys want to hear like a little bit more about that, like I'll kind of like do a deep dive into Nam, kind of reach out to some more vets and kind of like listen to their stories and kind of like share a little bit. But yeah, yeah, a lot of crap going on with that one. One thing I will say is I do remember one game way back on like the original Xbox that was like Shell Shock, and it was like it took place in Vietnam, and like they kind of like really like went to like gory detail, and that was like back then versus now. Like you kind of like look at any other game and it's like, what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure if I replayed, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's nothing. You know what I mean? Like we got like a bunch of different games that get a little bit more gory and graphic, which kind of raises a counter argument of like, have we become desensitized to it? Which I'm not really an expert, but I can say probably a little bit. Probably a little bit, kind of seen a lot. Just kind of get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, uh, man, this podcast kind of got a little bit grim. It started off kind of funny, lighthearted, me power wash my asshole. Now I'm kind of talking about like war and death and like desensitized to violence. Huh. Yeah, yeah. Probably after this, I'm gonna probably edit the video, uh, play some Pavlov, which is kind of weird. I'm talking about desensitized to violence and like and war, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go play that. But oh, the duality of man. Yep. I'll kind of end it on a little bit of a high note. I kind of like talking to one of my friends, and like he's kind of like going down like nostalgic memory lane and stuff like that, and he's like, man, you remember all like the stupid crap we used to do, and would go on about it, and it's like, okay, it's like, yeah, I remember that. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I also remember that too. Like one time we got real drunk in Ybor, and for those of you who have been, there is a metal statue of like a guy reading a newspaper, and I was so drunk I thought that was like a street performer. And so like I'm like, oh man, he's doing great, dude, he's fantastic. And like I was so drunk, like everything was spinning, and I thought he moved. I ended up throwing up. I'm not gonna lie, I ended up throwing up in the bathtub and like shitting myself, and it was a big mess. My buddy ended up cleaning it and got charged the cleaning fee, and he like told me years later, and I'm like, oh, it's like, do you really like? You should have told me, dude. I would have gave you it. He's like, no problem. I'm like, do you want it now? He's like, nah. But honestly, he's a good guy. My buddy Justin, shout out. Um, but yeah, no, he's going down this trail, and to kind of end that story on a high note, we ended up being real hungover, and we wanted to get breakfast, and we passed by that statue, and I noticed my 20 was still sticking out, and I'm like, fuck, that was a real statue. I walked over, grabbed it, and I'm like, breakfast is on me. And he, we're going down the old rabbit hole, and he's like, yeah, man, like, telling even more stories where like I'm shit. I'll take them to my grave. Like, some of them are illegal. Um, but yeah, we're going down, and he ends it with like a statement. He's like, yeah, and to think you're gonna be a dad, and like that just kind of hit me, and I'm like, fuck. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, all this stupid shit we did. If you would have told me like, a couple years ago you were gonna be a dad and married by like this time, I wouldn't believe you. And I'm like, me either. And then like we rambled on about dad lore, and he's like, yeah, that kid is gonna hear a bunch of stories about you and is not gonna know what to believe. And I'm like, yeah, fair. Fair, that'll be kind of great. The kid's gonna walk up and be like, Dad, is it true you did that? Is it true you did this? And then I'll have to sit down and kind of like explain to her. It's like, yeah, yeah. Let me tell you about the time I helped Justin break into his car, or you know what I mean, like things like that. Which it's not really breaking in if somebody locks their keys in the car and I'm, helping them get in, right? Like that's legal. I'm not really sure on that one. Yeah, I should probably stop talking about some of the crap. Really, it's mostly stupid minor things. It's not really anything big. It's just, you know what I mean? Like young, dumb kids with nothing better to do doing a bunch of stupid crap. That's about it. Like I don't know, when Walmart was 24 hours, we used to like go there in like the dead of night and just like fuck around, like throw the balls at each other. Like really, I don't know. I think one time, like there's a shopping cart, and like we saw somebody like just a random shopping cart full of like ginger ale, and we just kind of like pushed it to another aisle and we started putting it in like random spots around the store. And like this was like a cart like with like 20 things of ginger ale in it. And instead of putting it back, we just like put it all around the store in random places. And like sometimes we would take like condoms and put them in like the health section next to the condoms, or we would take the condoms and put them next to the bananas, and like just like really like do things. Like I remember one time we took like a pack of diapers, put it by the beer, and then we put like a case of beer by the diapers. So like people are like, man, somebody made a decision. Just stupid minor things like just being little shitheads, like most kids in the neighborhood do. Which honestly, a lot of people I know end up going to jail for a lot of stupid stuff. So not to say like like lesser of the two evils, but I mean, like versus what we could have been doing versus what we did. Yeah. Yep. Anywho, this has been my show. It's been very fun, just kind of talking, blowing off steam for like an hour. If you guys like this, if you want, comment, like, subscribe, that whole jazz. I've been thinking about going on Twitch and streaming again. You know what I mean? Like, follow me on there. You'll see me play something. Um, Shit, if you really like it and you want to kind of support me, Patreon. I don't have anybody following me yet, but if somebody does, I'll kind of start posting more. But kind of till then, it's a little bit of like, if there's not really a market for it, I'm not going to do it. Really, you guys are going to do what you're going to do. Like, you got some people who are just going to sit here and shout and be like, you need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to do all this, buy my merch, and like, just push it down your throats. It is what it is. Yeah, other than that, I hope everybody's doing well. Like I said before, call your family, mom, dad, whoever you haven't talked to in a while. Just say hi, even grandma or grandpa. Just reach out to somebody, see how they're doing. Brother, sister. These are tough times we live in. We're all struggling, and if you're feeling some type of way, definitely reach out to somebody, anybody. You are important. Your mental health is important. That's kind of it. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. This should go up Sunday. Or kind of like the last one, I just went up Saturday, like real late at night. We'll see when I post it, or you'll see. But yeah, I want everybody to stay safe. Have a great week. See you next time.